Most evenings in our home followed a rhythm so familiar it barely required thought. Ethan Cole would return from work, drop his keys into the ceramic bowl near the door, and find Lena Cole already moving through the kitchen with a quiet, practiced grace. Their conversations were easy, threaded with small jokes and gentle observations, the kind that grow only between people who have shared years rather than months. Ethan valued that steadiness, believing it was the truest measure of happiness. Lena seemed to value it too, or at least she wore its comfort naturally, like a favorite sweater. Their marriage had never been loud or theatrical, yet it possessed a warmth that felt durable. Ethan admired Lena's calm intelligence and the thoughtful way she listened, while Lena appreciated Ethan's patience and his instinctive kindness. They had disagreements, of course, but conflict rarely lingered. Resolution came through mutual respect rather than exhaustion. To Ethan, this balance felt like a quiet achievement, something built deliberately and guarded without paranoia. Nothing in their daily life hinted at fracture or restlessness. When Marcus Reed called after years of sporadic messages, Ethan felt an uncomplicated surge of nostalgia. Marcus had been more than a friend during Ethan's university days. He had been a counterweight, a personality vivid where Ethan's was measured. Marcus possessed an effortless charisma, the sort that drew attention without demanding it, and a perceptiveness that often unsettled people and used to being read so quickly. Life had scattered them across continents, yet the foundation of their friendship seemed intact, preserved by distance rather than eroded by it. Marcus's voice carried the same easy confidence Ethan remembered, though tempered now by experience. He explained his visit with a casual tone, describing a brief stay in the city for professional reasons, then hesitating before mentioning the inconvenience of hotels. Ethan offered his home before Marcus could even finish the sentence. The invitation felt natural, almost inevitable, a gesture of loyalty rather than obligation. Lena, when told, responded with polite curiosity rather than hesitation, asking only practical questions about timing and preferences. Marcus arrived on a mild afternoon, bringing with him the subtle energy of someone accustomed to movement. Ethan noticed the unchanged elements immediately: the direct gaze, the relaxed posture, the faint smile suggesting private amusement. Lena greeted Marcus warmly, her courtesy sincere and unforced, and Marcus responded with gracious ease. Their initial exchanges remained entirely ordinary, grounded in pleasantries and light conversation. Nothing about the scene disturbed Ethan's sense of normalcy. Over dinner, Marcus's presence altered the atmosphere in ways Ethan could not have predicted, yet could not entirely ignore. Marcus spoke with a storyteller's cadence, transforming mundane experiences into engaging narratives. Lena listened attentively, her expressions animated, her laughter emerging more freely than usual. Ethan observed this shift with mild surprise, attributing it to the novelty of a guest and the pleasure of fresh conversation. He welcomed the liveliness, telling himself that shared enjoyment strengthened rather than threatened the household. 8 days passed. Marcus integrated into their routines with remarkable smoothness. He demonstrated a considerate awareness of boundaries, never imposing yet never distant, contributing to conversations with a natural fluency. Lena appeared increasingly at ease in his presence, her curiosity sharpening into genuine engagement. Ethan appreciated Marcus's adaptability, seeing it as confirmation of the friend he had always respected. Still, subtle changes accumulated quietly, too minor to provoke alarm, yet too persistent to remain entirely invisible. Ethan began noticing how frequently Lena sought Marcus's perspective, posing questions that once would have been directed toward Ethan. The shift did not feel like rejection, merely a redistribution of attention that seemed harmless on the surface. Marcus responded thoughtfully, often deflecting praise or emphasizing Ethan's qualities with generous tact. Ethan found this humility reassuring, interpreting it as evidence of Marcus's integrity. Doubt, when it flickered, was brief and easily dismissed. Evenings acquired a different texture, shaped by extended conversations that stretched comfortably into the night. Marcus's observations carried an incisiveness that intrigued Lena, drawing from her reflections more candid than Ethan was accustomed to hearing. Ethan watched these exchanges with mixed emotions, pleased by Lena's evident interest, yet faintly unsettled by his own unexpected silence. He reassured himself that intellectual rapport did not equate to emotional displacement. The thought seemed reasonable, even mature. Yet Ethan could not entirely ignore the subtle magnetism that formed between Lena and Marcus, expressed not through overt gestures, but through timing and tone. Their shared humor developed quickly, producing moments of spontaneous laughter that felt both genuine and strangely exclusive. Ethan remained included, yet occasionally sensed an invisible boundary, delicate and unspoken. He resisted interpreting these impressions as meaningful, wary of projecting insecurity onto ordinary interactions. Self-doubt seemed a safer explanation than suspicion. Marcus, for his part, remained consistently respectful, never breaching decorum or exhibiting impropriety. His demeanor toward Ethan was unchanged, marked by familiarity and warmth, reinforcing the trust Ethan had always placed in him. Lena's behavior toward Ethan also remained outwardly consistent, her affection undiminished in any obvious sense. The stability of appearances offered Ethan a shield against unease. He preferred coherence to conjecture. One night, long after the house had settled into its usual stillness, Ethan stirred awake with no clear cause. The bedroom felt unchanged, Lena's presence beside him steady and reassuring. A faint sound drifted through the hallway, barely audible, yet distinct enough to register. Ethan lay motionless, listening without intention, recognizing the soft cadence of voices. The realization carried neither accusation nor certainty, only a quiet, inexplicable tension. He rose carefully, guided less by suspicion than by curiosity he could not entirely justify. The hallway remained dim, shadows pooling gently along the walls. From the living room emerged a subdued glow and the unmistakable trace of muted laughter. Ethan paused, experiencing a sudden reluctance that surprised him. Something in the moment felt fragile, as though observation itself might alter its meaning. Standing there, suspended between movement and retreat, Ethan became acutely aware of a feeling he struggled to name. It was not anger nor jealousy, but a subtle disorientation, the sense of being slightly displaced within his own home. He hesitated, uncertain whether the discomfort arose from imagination or intuition. The laughter continued, soft yet resonant, carrying an intimacy impossible to measure from a distance. Ethan remained still, listening, as a quiet unease settled more firmly into his thoughts. Ethan Cole remained motionless in the hallway, the muted laughter from the living room threading through the silence like a sound too delicate to interrupt. The house, once a space of uncomplicated comfort, suddenly felt layered with unfamiliar tension. He told himself there was nothing unusual about two people talking late at night, yet the reassurance rang hollow against the quiet insistence of his unease. Curiosity urged him forward, but something deeper restrained him, a reluctance born not from fear, but from instinct. He stepped back softly, retreating toward the bedroom with careful, measured movements. Each footfall felt deliberate, as though any noise might transform uncertainty into confrontation. When he slid beneath the covers, Lena Cole stirred faintly, her breathing steady, her expression untroubled. Ethan watched her in the darkness, searching for evidence of change in a face he believed he knew intimately. Nothing appeared different, yet his mind refused to settle. Morning arrived with ordinary light and ordinary sounds, yet Ethan perceived everything through a subtle distortion. Lena moved through the kitchen with her usual efficiency, greeting him with familiar warmth. Marcus Reed sat at the table, relaxed and composed, his demeanor unchanged from the previous evening. Their conversation flowed easily, untouched by the silent observations Ethan carried alone. The normalcy of the scene unsettled him more than any obvious anomaly could have. Ethan scrutinized his own reactions, questioning whether fatigue or imagination had exaggerated the significance of the night's sounds. Marcus's presence remained respectful, even gracious, marked by the same thoughtful courtesy he had consistently displayed. Lena's affection toward Ethan appeared genuine, her gestures unforced, her tone unchanged. Doubt seemed unreasonable, even self-indulgent. Ethan chastised himself for entertaining suspicions unsupported by tangible proof. Yet as the day unfolded, Ethan detected subtle shifts too elusive to define, yet too persistent to dismiss. Lena's laughter came more readily in Marcus's presence, her attention drawn with a natural ease that felt effortless rather than intentional. Marcus responded with the same perceptive charm that had always distinguished him, his observations precise yet never intrusive. Ethan remained part of the exchanges, yet occasionally sensed a faint displacement, as though the conversational gravity had shifted. The sensation was not dramatic, nor immediately alarming, but quietly disconcerting. Ethan noticed how frequently Lena sought Marcus's reactions, how her expressions seemed animated by his responses. Marcus, for his part, appeared unaware of any imbalance, engaging with Lena through a shared intellectual rhythm that seemed entirely innocent. Ethan recognized the danger of reading significance into ordinary dynamics. Still, the pattern lingered in his thoughts. That evening, the three of them shared dinner beneath the warm glow of the dining room light. Conversation drifted across familiar topics, yet Ethan observed the subtle choreography of glances and gestures with heightened awareness. Lena's attentiveness toward Marcus carried an intensity Ethan struggled to interpret. Marcus's composure remained steady, his tone measured, his manner consistently respectful. Nothing overt suggested impropriety, yet Ethan felt a quiet undercurrent he could not ignore. Afterward, Ethan withdrew to his study under the pretext of unfinished work. The decision felt less like necessity and more like an experiment, a temporary distance designed to test his perceptions. From the adjoining rooms came the low murmur of voices, punctuated occasionally by soft laughter. Ethan attempted to concentrate, yet his focus fractured repeatedly. The familiarity of Marcus's voice now carried an unexpected weight. He reminded himself that friendship and hospitality demanded generosity rather than suspicion. Marcus had offered no visible reason to doubt his integrity, nor had Lena exhibited any explicit breach of trust. Ethan valued rationality, resisting conclusions unsupported by evidence. Still, emotion operated by different rules, shaping impressions that logic alone could not dissolve. The tension persisted, subtle yet insistent. Later that night, Ethan entered the living room to find Lena and Marcus seated comfortably, their conversation pausing only briefly at his arrival. Lena's smile appeared genuine, though Ethan sensed a fleeting shift he could not entirely define. Marcus greeted him with easy warmth, his expression open, his posture relaxed. The atmosphere felt neither secretive nor strained. Yet Ethan remained aware of something intangible, a quiet alteration in emotional texture. Days continued in this ambiguous equilibrium, each interaction layered with ordinary behavior and subtle complexity. Ethan observed without accusation, reluctant to disrupt harmony with unfounded concerns. Lena appeared content, her mood buoyant, her energy vibrant. Marcus maintained his characteristic grace, contributing to the household without imposition. On the surface, everything remained intact. One afternoon, Ethan returned home earlier than expected, guided by an impulse he struggled to rationalize. The house greeted him with stillness, sunlight filtering softly through the windows. From the kitchen emerged the quiet cadence of voices, low and unhurried. Ethan paused near the doorway, unseen, listening without intention. The tone of the exchange carried a familiarity that felt both natural and unexpectedly intimate. Lena's voice held a softness Ethan recognized, yet rarely heard directed toward others. Marcus responded with gentle attentiveness, his words indistinct yet measured. Ethan felt a subtle tightening in his chest, a sensation neither sharp nor overwhelming but undeniably present. He stepped forward deliberately, announcing his presence through movement rather than speech. The conversation ceased instantly. Lena turned first, her expression momentarily startled before settling into practiced composure. Marcus followed, his demeanor calm, though Ethan detected a brief flicker of something unreadable. Silence filled the space, dense yet fragile. Ethan offered a neutral greeting, his tone carefully controlled, his observations concealed beneath ordinary politeness. Lena responded with warmth, yet an unfamiliar tension lingered beneath her words. Nothing explicit emerged, no confession or confrontation, yet Ethan sensed the quiet emergence of a boundary previously non-existent. The realization carried no clarity, only a deepening awareness of complexity. As the afternoon light shifted across the room, Ethan understood that his discomfort could no longer be dismissed as imagination alone. Something had changed, subtle yet undeniable, and its full meaning remained just beyond his grasp.